The sun was sinking low behind the trees as Hunter trudged deeper into the forest. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth, the rustle of leaves, and the distant calls of birds settling for the night. He was no novice in these woods. He had tracked game here many times before. But today, something felt different. His sense of direction, once as sharp as the blade at his hip, failed him. Hours passed, and what should have been a familiar path turned into a labyrinth of twisted branches and undergrowth. Deeper he ventured, the stranger the forest became. The trees seemed older, their trunks gnarled and ancient, their roots crawling over the ground like great, slumbering serpents. Hunter's heart pounded in his chest. For the first time in years, he felt lost. As darkness closed in, a low growl reverberated through the trees. Hunter froze, his hand instinctively moving to the hilt of his knife. But this was no ordinary animal sound. It was deeper, more primal, resonating not just through the air but through his bones. He scanned the shadows. And then he saw it. At first it was just a flicker of movement between the trees, a blur too fast for his eyes to follow. Then it reappeared, stepping into the dim moonlight filtering through the canopy. It was unlike anything Hunter had ever seen. The creature was massive, its body a sleek, muscular shape with fur that shimmered like silver in the moonlight. Its eyes, glowing with a soft, eerie light, bore into him. It had the lithe grace of a predator, but there was something otherworldly about it, as if it didn't quite belong to this world. The creature circled him, watching, waiting. Hunter's breath caught in his throat. He'd faced wolves, bears, and wild boar before, but this was different. He wasn't the hunter anymore. He was the hunted. Instinct told him to run, but his legs felt rooted to the ground. He gripped his knife, his knuckles white, and tried to steady his breathing. As the creature drew closer, its growl deepening, he realized there was no use in trying to fight. This wasn't a beast he could kill. It was something older, wilder, and far beyond his understanding. With a final surge of courage, Hunter turned and ran, his feet pounding the forest floor. The beast's growl followed him, a low, menacing rumble that echoed in his ears. But as fast as he ran, the creature was faster. He could feel its presence at his back, the weight of its gaze pressing down on him. Then, just as suddenly as the chase began, it stopped. Hunter stumbled to a halt, chest heaving, and dared to look behind him. The creature was gone. The forest was silent again, the air still. For a moment he stood there, his mind spinning, unsure of what had just happened. But he knew he wasn't safe yet. He needed to get out. He needed to escape this cursed place before the creature returned. Hours passed as Hunter navigated through the maze of trees, but the forest seemed to warp around him, leading him in circles. Exhaustion weighed on him, his body aching from the effort. Just when he thought he might collapse, he stumbled into a clearing. The moon was high in the sky, casting its pale light over the grass and the distant edge of the forest. Freedom. Relief washed over him as he staggered forward. He was out. He had escaped. But as he stepped beyond the last tree, Hunter realized something had changed. He felt different. His senses were sharper, his hearing more acute. The world around him seemed more vibrant, more alive. The sounds of the forest, once distant and indistinct, now thrummed in his ears, the rustling of leaves, the scurrying of small creatures, the soft whisper of the wind through the trees. Even the air tasted different, richer somehow, like he could feel the pulse of life in every breath. Hunter looked down at his hands. They were trembling. The knife, once his most trusted tool, felt foreign in his grip. A part of him had been left behind in the woods, left with that creature, that unseen beast. Whatever it was, it had changed him. He was no longer just a hunter. He was something else now, something wild, something that belonged to the forest as much as the trees and the animals within it. And as he walked away from the woods, he knew that no matter how far he went, a part of him would always remain lost in those shadows. For the forest had taken him, and it had given him something in return. The hunter had escaped, but he would never be the same.